Calvary Global to the world 24/7.
Tradition continues.
Calvary.
Israel has announced the immediate resumption of recommended by the Israeli army. Its aim was military offensive. No humanitarian supplies have entered the strip since March 2nd. Airstrikes killed at least
at around 2 a.m. and seeing nothing with debris all over the place. 9 were killed and 7 injured, some with serious injuries.
I heard a sound of the strike all of a sudden. Window glass shattered and debris fell on us, so we started running. I went outside the house not knowing where the strike hit, only to find out that it targeted our neighbor's house. Then ambulances came to transport the injured.
Thousands of people have taken part in demonstrations around the world marking the 77th anniversary of Nakba, or the catastrophe, referring to the war that established Israel. Russia launched its largest attack on Ukraine that's left a woman dead and several Ukrainian cities and regions under siege for several hours. Ukrainian officials say the capital's airspace swarmed with Russian drones after midnight local time on Sunday. Volodymyr Zelensky on Monday to negotiate a truce and hopefully end what he calls a bloodbath. The leaders of Britain, France, Germany and Poland plan to speak to Trump before those calls. And former U.S. President Joe Biden has been diagnosed with prostate cancer. He sought medical attention last week after experiencing symptoms which led to the discovery of a nodule on his prostate. The cancer has also spread to his bones.
Calvary.
Israeli strikes hit a school sheltering displaced families in Gaza City. At least 50 Palestinians have been killed across the strip since the early hours of Tuesday. For the first time in 3 months, aid rolls into Gaza, but it's just 5 trucks. The UN says it's only a drop in the ocean. U.S. President Donald Trump says Russia and Ukraine will begin ceasefire talks immediately following separate calls with the leaders of both countries. And 5 years after they parted ways, the EU and UK are back in business with a new deal that promises more jobs, trade, and visa guarantees.
Calvary.
The United Nations says the distribution of much-needed aid in Gaza has not yet begun. On Monday, Israel announced that it would allow unlimited basic food supplies after a more than 10-week-long blockade. UN's humanitarian chief says 14,000 babies could die within 48 hours if aid fails to reach communities in Gaza soon.
Today, one of our teams waited several hours for the Israeli green light to access the Kerem Shalom area and collect the nutrition supplies. Unfortunately, they were not able to bring those supplies into our warehouse. So just to make it clear, while more supplies have come in to the Gaza Strip, we have not been able to secure the arrival of those supplies into our warehouses and delivery points.
Israel's opposition leader Yair Golan claimed that the country is on the path to becoming a pariah state. Golan fiercely criticized Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's government over its ongoing Gaza offensive, saying a sane country does not kill baby isolation. The European Union, a similar announcement by President Donald Trump, who said he wanted to give Syria a chance at greatness. EU representatives share Donald Trump's concerns and want to support Syria's recovery following the removal of Bashar al-Assad. Sudan's military says it has taken full control of Khartoum region after pushing out the remnants of the Rapid Support Forces. It is a major victory for the government, which has been battling the RSF for more than 2 years. The paramilitary Rapid Support Forces group still maintains its foothold in North Darfur in the country's west. The conflict has pushed millions of people out of their homes and into famine. Donald Trump has unveiled his plan for a $175 billion missile defense system. The so-called Golden Dome project would see hundreds of satellites deployed in space to detect and intercept incoming missiles.
Calvary.
Israeli attacks on Gaza have killed at least 78 Palestinians on Wednesday. This as the army issued evacuation orders in the Jabalia refugee camp and 13 other neighborhoods in northern part of the Gaza Strip, threatening those areas with heavy strikes. Meanwhile, Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has once again vowed that all parts of Gaza will be under Israeli control by the end of the war. Israel says it allowed 91 trucks carrying humanitarian aid to cross into Gaza on Wednesday. The UN says it has begun distributing the truckloads of aid, marking the first distribution in the besieged Palestinian territory since early March. U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio has expressed guarded optimism that an end to the war may happen soon.
We may have breakthrough achievements here pretty quickly, hopefully, on an end to this and the release of all the hostages. Again, I have felt that way now at least 4 separate times in the last couple of months. Provide more humanitarian assistance and bring about the end of this to this conflict.
There has been outrage after Israeli forces opened fire to intimidate a delegation of diplomats visiting the occupied West Bank city of Jenin. Video of the incident shows the Israeli army has apologized for the incident, saying the group had deviated from the agreed route. U.S. President Donald Trump ambushed South Africa's President Cyril Ramaphosa during a visit in the Oval Office, repeating claims that white farmers in the country are facing a genocide. During the tense meeting in front of reporters in South Africa, a former Ukrainian politician has been shot dead outside the gates of an American school in the Spanish capital, Madrid. 51-year-old Andriy Portnov was an MP and senior aide to Ukraine's previous leader, Viktor Yanukovych, who is considered to have been the country's most pro-Russian president.
Calvary.
Dozens of people have been killed as Israeli attacks across Gaza continue. A small but crucial delivery of aid has finally reached Palestinians. Aid groups have been gathering supplies from nearly 200 trucks that were allowed into the enclave following Israel's blockade. The health ministry has confirmed that at least 29 children in the enclave have died from starvation-related issues in the past few days.
In each birth, some of the newborns are underweight and they need intensive care. Now, with no electricity and no intensive care units for aliens, these are condemned to death. So they live only a couple of days and their lives go. And that's related to the not available.
Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has appointed a new head for the country's domestic intelligence service, Shin Bet. Netanyahu's pick for Shin Bet chief is Major General David Zini, but the country's Attorney General has called the appointment flawed after a Supreme Court ruling on Wednesday that the dismissal of the current head, Ronen Bar, was illegal. An Israeli airstrike hit a building in the southern Lebanon town of Tal, which it claimed was being used by Hezbollah. Ahead of the attack, the Israeli army issued an evacuation order to occupants of the neighboring building. Earlier on Thursday, the Lebanese army commander said Israel regularly revoked Harvard University's ability to enroll international students. Thousands of current students are now required to transfer to other schools or leave the country. The U.S. Department has signed a deal to hand over control of the Sheikh by base.
Calvary.
At least 71 Palestinians. Israel says a needle in a haystack every day.
All the aid authorized until now amounts to a teaspoon of aid when a flood of assistance is required. The needs are massive and the obstacles are staggering. Strict quotas are being imposed on the goods we distribute.
Syria's foreign ministry has welcomed a decision by the U.S. to lift economic sanctions, marking a dramatic shara, as well as the central bank and the state-owned enterprises. A U.S. judge has blocked President Donald Trump from revoking Harvard's ability to enroll foreign students. On Thursday, Homeland Security Secretary between the U.S. and Iranian delegations, including Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi, has wrapped up in Rome. Oman, which mediated the talks, says limited progress has been made as the sides try to settle a decades-long dispute over Tehran's uranium enrichment. In South Africa, rescuers have pulled out all 260 miners who were trapped for more than 24 hours in an underground shaft. Authorities say the incident was caused by debris that is built into the mine shaft after the escape door opened at a loading point.